Hey NAI football fans, Corey Thorpe here with another edition of the NAIFBALL Podcast, powered by AdCraft USA, your custom apparel, merch, and uniform experts. Our friends at AdCraft have been with us for many years now. They've run web stores for us multiple times. These guys are NAI fans and family who are experts in the apparel and merchandise world. AdCraft allows you to take the hassle out of ordering. Let their knowledgeable design and customer service staff handle everything from hosting the store online, shipping the product, and helping your customers so you can get back to the game. Find them online at adcraftusa.com. All right, NAI football fans, Corey Thorpe here with another edition of the NAIF Ball Podcast, powered by AdCraft Custom Apparel and Merch, the GOATs in the business since 1974. Tonight we have old friend of the podcast, Joel Penner, coming back. Coach, you are about to enter your 10th season. Does it seem like it's been 10 years at the helm at this point?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I think uh, I think there's probably days when you go, how did 10 years just fly by that fast? And there's other days when you feel every single day in it. But it's been really good. And before this job, the longest that I had coached somewhere was 4 years. So this is my first head job, and we're still plugging away and really enjoying it.
Love it. Let's take a look at last year's games to kind of take a look and look back. We really want to pull out that Concordia game here, late September. Did um did you think when you played them, this might be a team that is going to be on the edge of making the playoffs?
Certainly, yeah, we always um, go into that game with a lot of respect and awareness. We knew that they were loaded with seniors, and we had watched those seniors play a lot of football. We knew, um, the quarterback receiver tandem was going to be really good, supporting cast around it. We knew they're always going to play really hard on defense, and so yeah, we I'd say we were pretty aware.
Yeah, it honestly, I know that the number of GPAC playoff teams doesn't reflect it, but it was a really good year GPAC wide. I mean, you have Morningside that is they started to Morningside again to put it bluntly. Um, Northwestern, while not up to their usual, was still a darn good football team. Y'all had a good year, and then Concordia comes in and out of left field, quote unquote. We'd seen that wide receiver um, quarterback combo coming too, but kind of out of left field there. It was a really good year for the GPAC overall. Let's head on about a month later and head over to your game against Morningside. It is unfortunately a 31-21 loss, but honestly, y'all made that Morningside team look really mortal. Talk to me about forcing turnovers and keeping yourself in the game.
Yeah, it was a great learning game for us. I mean, just first time first time we'd ever gone into that game ranked higher than them. First time we'd ever gone into that game coming off a win from last season. A lot of new things to go through as a program, and just another really important step, I think, in our maturation as a program. We just really it was a combination of them playing super lights out early, and us playing really the opposite of lights out, whatever that term is. There were the 4 minutes. We talk about the 4 minutes a lot. The 4 minutes we have to learn from, because we found ourselves in a hole, and then we spent the rest of the game digging ourselves out. If you can't do this because it's football, but if you take 56 minutes of the game, we outscore and win the game. The 4 minutes is when we lost the game and when we got beat. So great learning moment for us, and we'll definitely be better and sharper because of it. So, but they did a great job. Both sides of the ball. We had a special teams give up a special teams touchdown, and it was just a bad start, and something to learn from.
And then down close to the end of your season, was thinking about it. Your last 2 games against Northwestern have the combined score's been 10-0, and it so reminds me of the meme of Frank Beamer in that Virginia Tech Wake Forest game where it's 3-2 at the end at the end of the game, and he's just got his hands up like that. Man, if you like watching defense, Northwestern Dordt might be a game for you. How do you end up having 10 points between 2 contests between these 2 teams?
Well, the simple answer is great defense, both sides. I think you can look at it as closely as you want. Certainly, we spend plenty of time doing that. It's an elusive outcome for us that has escaped us, and I think there are red zone opportunities for us offensively. I mean, you're right about the 2 games. If you just look at the stat line, you're going to think it's the same game over again. I mean, it's almost identical. Dordt leads in every statistic except the one that matters the most, and it always comes down to a couple of big plays, and we just haven't gotten it done, and they have. So it's not a whole lot more complex than that. It's rather simple. Doesn't mean it's easy, but it's simple, and it's been great defense for sure. I mean, if you want to watch really, really good schematics and execution and heart and fly to the ball and 11 hats and all those things that you want to see on defense, man, it's the film to watch, both times.
Well, Coach, like we were talking about, the GPAC has definitely gotten better. I mean, when we got into this back in 2018, it was Morningside's conference. Northwestern ran second, and then it was the field. Y'all come on and and do some great development. Have a great quarterback. You make the playoffs. You have a great start to last year. Concordia has a great year, like we talked about, and it gets me thinking about the windows of opportunity opening for teams in your conference. So, who in the GPAC do you really think might be that next contender to join that upper echelon in 2025, or might have that window of opportunity opening like Concordia did last year?
Man alive, I really don't know, Corey. That's a good question. I think what we're trying to keep focusing on is how do we be our best and maximize what we've got going on here. I certainly think there's a number of programs poised to do what you're saying, but I don't think Concordia is done. I don't think that's a one and done thing. I think we're going to continue to build. I think Morningside Northwestern will continue to do positive things as well. So it's really hard for me to predict who it might be, but there's a number of teams that are ready to do so, I think.
Well, then let's take a look at your team coming back. You do return a majority of your offensive production. You had told me before we came on air that you're going to have to replace some pieces on your offensive line, but you do have a returning signal caller again, and you've got some running back production coming back. Even though you do lose your top running back, you've still got Thomas Fritz coming back, who had some nice production last year. Obviously, Nick Wellen, the leader there in 24. Talk to me about just keeping the next man up and trying to hold the standard on offense.
I think this will be a really great testing year for our program. We're replacing 38 seniors. Obviously, not all of them were starters, but when you imagine the void that 38 players would leave behind, guys that 4 or 5 years of investment, and then all of a sudden, their influence is gone and they're on their way. So the what I'm saying is being tested is how do we develop players? If we can continue to make strides, like we've talked about with our team, it's like we're not trying to outdo past teams. We're not really interested in comparing ourselves to the team of whatever. It's about taking the baton of the guys who just ran the race, and now it's your turn to run your leg, and how fast and how far can you go? So that's been our approach. And offensively, we have less of that than on defense. There's 3 starters on offense that graduate, and we feel very good about just the growing talent production that we've had. We've got competition in a lot of spots. Spring ball's been a lot of fun because you know that there's battleground positions. One of those is quarterback. So we've got a young quarterback, Noah Strickfadden, definitely a name to remember. And he's come in, just gotten better and better and developed, and to a point where we've been sharing reps here in spring with the starting group. So that's only going to make your team stronger when you have competition, especially at the quarterback position. And defensively, it's like all these guys that are going to be third-year guys who have really played minutes for us, but as a backup. And now it's their turn and it's their time. And so we've talked a lot about testing our development as a program. I mean, we've kind of built our whole program strategy on recruiting high school players, pouring into them for 4 or 5 years, and seeing how good we can be with that. And I think this year will be more than any in my time here testing out that strategy. But if spring ball is any indication, we're gonna have a very good football team.
Yeah, defensively, you hit the nail on the head there. You're returning less than half of your defensive secondary between your linebackers and your DBs, and I honestly, I keep hearing the same refrain over and over again. It's not just Dordt that has this huge senior class. It seems everyone has had this gigantic senior class, and obviously we understand that the extra year of eligibility from 5 years ago
Yep.
is what is causing that, and so basically you're in 2024 you cleared 2 seasons in one
Yep.
worth of seniors. I'm going to be really interested um, to watch nationally as uh, as to see who took advantage of that. It strikes me as, well, if you had 2 years worth of seniors, you might have had a chance to improve your depth. Um, Talk to me a little bit about a little bit more about defensively who those depth pieces might be that are now going to be asked to have those starting minutes.
Yeah, it's always tough to name names this early in the process, but a couple that stand out. You've already mentioned Isaac Kakmarinsky's. Um, he's a reserve linebacker last year, but played significant minutes for us. He's really stepped up as a leader, not only of the linebacking group, but also of our defense, and has had a really, really incredible spring. On the D line, there's a host of guys. Nolan Buckholz is a nose guard who's played a lot. Caleb Weinberg, Derek Pop. I mentioned Zach Queering. I could go on and on. There's a pretty deep stable of box players in the box players that have already played, tough, hot moments in games. We're going to ask them to do is have a bigger role and bigger part in that now. And then in the secondary, there's a lot of battles going on. all 5 of our DBs graduated, so, but again, same story. Um, there's guys battling and doing a really good job. I just think the other feature of all this is staff continuity. I mean, that's where I'm so thankful and blessed right now is, we have an unbelievable staff, and these guys have been here. They know the system, they know the program. They're relentless about improving it. There's no complacency in our culture here. There's always this mindset of continual improvement, and so um, I really think our defense is going to keep rolling. I think we had a great year last year. A lot of that was experience, but there's something to be said about great mentorship, great teaching, and great systems. And we got to stay healthy, but I'm optimistic about what our defense can do.
Talk to me about a little bit about leadership development at Dordt. You've got this, obviously a huge cadre of seniors that are leaving, and you've got guys on there that were huge leaders. Both sides of the ball there. What does the next man up idea look like in terms of leadership development?
Well, we do a lot of things in our program that I think build team and uh, build our players into great leaders. I guess I'll talk about one thing. We have a leadership council. We call it the Servant Leadership Council, and it's a group of 14 guys voted on from sophomore class up. And we meet every week, talk about how things are going. If there's any perceived kind of issue on the team, we bring it up. We talk about it. We clear the air. There's back and forth dialogue. I meet with those guys one on one as well. Um, there's small groups that these guys have drafted and they work with all off season. They hang out together socially. They keep each other accountable with goals that they've instilled in the program, and so I think um, I've given them responsibility to make sure that the guys that they are responsible for in their group are thriving and having great experiences and maximizing themselves as men and as football players. Um, it's just a little bit about the model. We're big into setting goals. Not necessarily outcome goals, but more process goals, and we have an accountability system in place that helps guys stay on task. And um, really special group. I mean, there's a culture here that's been built in and just keep perpetuating class after class. And I think the hunger, what I'm seeing with this team is it's strange how this works in sports, but last year Corey was the highest win percentage in a Dordt football season ever, and I would say it was the most probably disappointing or frustrating end to a season we've ever had. Which you put those two together, they don't make any sense, but it does tell you a little bit about the mentality of our team and our program. Is they're hungry, they want to find out how good we can be, and they're taking the steps here in the winter and spring to get to go after it.
So in those small groups, are those um, based on position groups, or are they kind of cross positional and side of the ball kind of lines?
Yeah, not positional at all. We really try to do as much, you know, reach across offense, defensive line, special teams as we can. I asked the guys to draft players with a mindset of if I was to get hit by a bus and I was instantly gone, who would I want to train up to take my spot in terms of leadership, and to go into their drafting of their small group with that mentality is who do I have a heart to train up and invest in, and who do I want to go after to bring them to be their best.
That's such an incredible model. I mean, we every coach is going to say that they are, it's not just about football. It's about training young men to become actual men. I mean, that's why we at a very basic level. That's why athletics exists, is to make that happen. Um, but I think about, servant leadership as it goes inside of a faith community. Um, as it goes into the workplace, and always being trying to pour into the next guy, so that uh, when you get hit by a bus, because it's going to happen to everyone eventually, you have someone to step in, and that's fantastic. I love that model. Um, so you've touched on it a little bit, Coach, but I'll ask you to expound on it a little bit more. But what area of your program, whether it's going to be something on the field or off the field, are y'all really homing in on in 2025?
I think there's a lot I could say about that because I think we're pretty ambitious. I think on the field, I'll start with that one. It's almost easier to explain, but um, I think on offense, it's we want to go deeper. Um, figuratively speaking, we talk about increasing our depth, and we're not just talking about our depth chart. We're talking about really important things for any team to have: trust in one another, um, playmaking ability, physicality. How do we take the next step in those areas? And these are actually things that the players decided. Our leadership council, I had them think through um, what's the next step look like for our program, kind of intangibly, and they came up with some of these things. So I think certainly both sides of the ball, but offensively, those are some of the things that we've looked at, and that that influences schematics, that influences touches, that influences personnel groups, and different things that we're going to try to do. Defensively, I think it's like I kind of touched on earlier. It's a matter of putting to test our development. How well have we really been doing developing these guys? I know that to play college football, the number one benefit you have, the number one advantage you have is experience. Um, but you find yourself sometimes with players that they don't have that. That the only way to get it is to play when you don't have it, right? I think last year we were very intentional looking ahead at this season, and we said, as much as possible in meaningful moments, we want to try to play the guys that are going to be, competing for starting spots this year. And we did that. So we played a lot of guys last year on defense, knowing that every rep that we could get them in a game in competitive moments last season would benefit us this year. And so I'm encouraging our defense all the time that you just take the baton and run. You don't need to compare yourself. You don't need to worry about, the numbers from last year or other years. It is about this team, and it's about what you can do. So um, I think they're excited to do that. Probably a little edgy, and they just want to go. I think there's going to be a lot of anticipation. We'll have a record amount of guys sticking around this summer to train and work out together. So yeah, this team's going to be chomping at the bit for, what is it, September 6th, our first game.
Yep, that's a home tilt against Dak West. I know the other half of this here show, Matt Schwartzler, will be greatly anticipating that. And honestly, I don't blame your defense. I think at this point of spring, I would be tired of hitting the same guy over and over, as well, and would be ready to go for September 6th. How much do you think that staying on campus and around impacts and is a multiplier for what you're able to do the next season?
It's, I mean, it's quantifiable. It's significant. We've run the numbers year after year about, you know, when we do maxes and when we do conditioning tests and all the things that we do for metrics at the end of the summer, it's not even a question of the advantage, goes to the guys that worked out together and had the accountability and were with the strength coach, and um, at our level, that's tough. Guys got to make money in the summer, and we know that. We don't mandate that guys stay, but I think the opportunities are good here, and um, we try to make it as rewarding and as positive experience as we can for them. So we've just had more and more guys want to do it.
Well, Coach, it's always an absolute pleasure to sit down and chat with you. Looking forward to another good season of GPAC football. It's gonna be a blast. You've got that away tilt at Northwestern um, late September, and then a November matchup at Morningside. That's gonna be a fun one over in Sioux City, and then a whole bunch of teams in between that will be all sorts of levels of good. Looking at that Mount Marty team is one that um, maybe want to take the next step um, there. That's going to be a fun season to watch for them, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you so much for coming on tonight, and appreciate you and your friendship to the NAIF Ball Show.
Absolutely, Corey. Appreciate that you want to do these things and give promotion to our league and to our program. So wish you all the best.